All right, we're ready for Jeff. All right, you guys ready for your next storyteller? Let's hear it for Jeff, everybody.
The first day of classes, freshman year of college, I met this woman named Paige in French class. It was kind of surprising, actually, that it took until the first day of classes to meet, that we didn't meet during freshman orientation. We lived in the same freshman dorm, but somehow we didn't encounter each other. And then it turned out that she was also in my economics class, and we ended up in the same dorm Bible study, and we ended up singing in an a cappella group together. Paige was just everywhere. And I came to learn as the fall semester went on that she was smart and funny, that she showed up on time and prepared for things, which was turn-ons for me. The organized nerds found each other. And she had pretty blonde hair and luminous skin. And we were good friends. We each had some romantic entanglements when we met. But by Christmas break, my sister stopped me in conversation. She said, "You have been talking so much about this person, Paige. Why aren't you dating her yet?" And I surprised myself by saying, "Because I'm afraid she's the one." I was 18 years old and I'd known her for 4 months. As it happened, in January, coming home from a singing group retreat, I held her hand in the van in the dark on the way back to campus. And later that night, she came to my dorm room and said, "What's going on? Do you always hold hands with people in the dark in vans?" Did I mention she was also, decisive and not afraid to speak her mind? And that's how we came to define what I think was probably the most inevitable dating relationship of that college campus that year. There were so many points of contact. Of course we were going to date. And it was great. We had a lot in common and a lot that wasn't in common. I learned from Paige's life experiences that were different than mine. I came to value her taste and her perspective. She was a great editor, so she made my papers better. That was awesome. And sophomore, we were in a class again, freshman spring, sophomore fall, we found a class to take together. We were still spending time together, Bible study and singing group. And so then it was a surprise, an early Thursday in December, when she said that we needed to break up. And she said she didn't want to break up, but something was just off about the relationship, and she felt like she had to end it. And looking back, I don't blame her. 19-year-old me was no picnic. I'm no picnic now. I was sick. I was literally sick to my stomach. I left her room, and on my way to the next place I was going, I just felt it in my gut, and I think I casually walked over to the street garbage can and just puked, which was my stress response at that point in my life. So that Christmas break, on Christmas Day, I called her from my house in Virginia to her house. She lived in the Sewickley area here, and just because she was the person I wanted to talk to, even though we weren't dating. And that January, I started sophomore spring, not in a class with her, but still seeing her in Bible study and in singing group and stuff like that. But it was hard. Oh my goodness, guys, I missed the big part. She broke up with me on a Thursday. We already had tickets for a theater production on Saturday night. And we couldn't, it was like we didn't know if we could find somebody to buy the ticket from us. We'd bought them with our hard-earned work-study money, and we were practical and thrifty, and so we decided to go together as friends, because we were still going to be friends, right? And that all would have been easier if the show hadn't been West Side Story. So I still remember sitting in the balcony next to Paige, watching Tony and Maria's romance play out. And of course, that reached its height with Somewhere. There's a place for us, somewhere, a place for us. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. And we were not holding hands, not going anywhere. But after the show, I was a gentleman, and I walked Paige back to her room, and she invited me in, which was nice, and just as friends. And I went in, and I dressed up for the show, so I had a blazer on and an overcoat, like some kind of teenage Columbo. And I sat down, because I was just going to sit for a minute, right, in her common room and talk. about 45 minutes into talking, I was starting to get pretty warm with this overcoat on. But I didn't want to break the spell. I didn't want Paige to, send her friend away. So I just sat there with the coat on until 5 o'clock in the morning. We just chatted because we were friends before we dated, and now we were trying to be friends again. And clearly, we could pull it off. Paige surprised me a day in February of sophomore year when she said, "We should get back together." And I think my response was something on the order of yes, 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 yes. And so we got back together, and a year later, in February of senior year, 2 years later, February of senior year, I cooked her dinner in the dorm kitchen for her birthday, and after dinner, I proposed, and she said yes. And we celebrated 29 years of marriage last November. And I'm pretty impressed with 18-year-old me for figuring out just what a great person she was and that it would be great to make a life with her. And I'm also proud and grateful that she chose me twice. Thank you.
Jeff, everyone. Oh, that was a heartwarming story. I can't wait for our show that's regrets, and Paige can come up and give her. Kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know why. Why am I doing this show? I'm like the worst person to run this nice, heartfelt show.